The Montana Lifestyles podcast is brought to you today by Johnson Madison Lumber Company. Serving central Montana and Great Falls since 1923, their third-generation lumber yard supplies the general contractor and the general public alike. Garages, kitchens, baths, or a new deck, shed, or pole barn, Johnson Madison Lumber Company can get you what you need. And with over 360 years of combined experience, these guys are your project experts ready to help. Learn more at jmlumber.com and make sure to look up their Facebook.
That one's doesn't have a red light on it.
Yeah, no, that one doesn't do a red light. It just is a wishful thinker.
Used to be when that red light come on, your mind went blank.
Yeah, you freeze up right then and there, right? Yep, I know that feeling exactly.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Montana Lifestyles podcast, brought to you by the Treasure State Lifestyles Montana magazine. If you haven't gotten the magazine yet, please do. The MPRC is covered in detail in this latest issue, and I have now, Jack. I'm going to make you say your last name for me again. So it's Jack
Stensland.
Stensland. Why do I want to keep saying Streisand?
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, he's a fan. He's a fan.
I don't sing so good.
No, not really.
No.
Now, Jack, what do you do with the rodeo? Tell me all the details.
Well, I'm the circuit president, so it's my responsibility to make sure that this thing comes off.
How did you get started? Out of curiosity, let's go back a little bit.
Well, in 1974,
wow,
I started fighting bulls.
Really?
And then we worked forward through that, and we started. A friend of ours, Larry Jordan, had an idea of the circuit system, and the circuit system got started in 74, 73 or 74, and in 1978, Pat Linger from Miles City, Dave and Barb Wagner from Billings, and myself come to Great Falls to meet with Bill Chiazza and ask about having a rodeo in the wintertime in January. And
how big did his eyes get when you asked that question?
He never even thought about it.
Oh, really?
He said, let's do it.
Nice.
And our added money that first year was $500 an event.
Really?
The contestants, we had to tear the arena down before anybody got a check.
Oh, my land.
Because we were that, so
you were handling all that stuff, yeah.
We did all that. I didn't have this job, but
right.
I actually fought bulls at the first circuit finals, and that was in January of '79.
Yeah.
And that was one of my last years. I was kind of on the way out. We have a ranch farm at Wolf Point. Now it's just a ranch, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
But so for the last 44 years, I've been involved with the circuit in one way or the other. So it's we were just talking about it. Two good friends of mine, Will Rasmussen, who's going to be the announcer, and another old bullfighter, Mike Anderson, we were just talking about the circuit years ago, and. Yeah. And in the 80s, 90s, Mike fought bulls here, and so it was kind of fun to reminisce.
Has it changed at all?
Oh man, this year the circuit we get national sponsorship money, and that comes to around $14,000 an event. The circuit puts in a little over $8,000 an event to make us one, if not the highest paying circuits of the 12 circuits in the United States.
Really?
So we're right up there.
That's not bad.
For the middle of January in Great Falls,
right.
And there's been years. There was one year it was 40 below. And
that was this year.
Well, it could have been that way that week
really
of Christmas. That was frightful.
Yeah.
But there was years when they built that building, there was 2 ice rinks. And so we put plywood down on the ice side where the bleachers is, which would be the west side of the building. We put plywood down, and the contestants would bring their horses in and walk them around on that plywood to warm up for the rodeo.
Oh, wow.
And then when we opened up the door to let them in,
Oh, what a blast.
the fog would come in. We'd have to hold the rodeo up for a little bit to let the fog dissipate, so you could see the other end of the arena.
Oh, good heavens.
It was pretty entertaining back then, and after that, and the people of Great Falls got behind it, and the sponsorships started coming, and it took 10 years of doing everybody's due diligence to make this thing successful.
Right.
And we are the strongest circuit in the United States.
But is there any more validation that you need in your life? Because that sounds like a pretty big success story.
No, there's no. It's in the friends that we've met. The kids that are rodeoing here this weekend. I was with their folks. So a lot of them, that's the way it is. You got the Bird family coming from Browning and Cutbank, and Sam was an icon at the circuit finals for years and years and years. Sam Bird, and they're all coming. I mean, now their kids and grandkids are coming.
Now I'll ask you a dangerous question. I asked this to Lori last night. You don't have to answer. You're the president. I'm sure you have your opinion, but you might not be able to say. Do you have your eye on a certain someone that you might think actually might take the win on this?
Oh boy, the way the circuit system is set up, it's set up for the guys that have jobs.
Oh.
And the girls and the breakaway ropers, the barrel racers, most all of them that are here work doing something. Mm-hmm. I mean, they might be carpenters, they might be farmers, ranchers, whatever the trade is in Montana. And there are a few, the Ty Ericksons, Haven Midget, those guys, Caleb Bennett, that were at the NFR this year. In order to qualify for the circuit finals, you have to go to 15 rodeos in Montana. If you're a Montana resident, you have to go to 15 rodeos.
Wow. That's an investment.
The PRCA's got a 75 rule that you can only count 75 rodeos to your qualifications to the NFR. So everybody that's here at this rodeo this weekend has done their 15. There's a couple guys in the bronc riding that couldn't make it fit because they needed to go to some of the bigger rodeos to keep things going.
Right.
Chase Brooks, Sage Newman. Mm-hmm. They had. It's tougher in the rough stock because you got to be in the top 15 to make the NFR.
Yeah.
And they can only count, so it's hard to go to some of the smaller rodeos in Montana. But everybody that's here did it.
And boy, to have to go through 15 rodeos to get to that point, that's got to be quite a feat. Now, can you tell
and win?
Yeah, and win.
Yeah.
And win. Now, you guys, am I correct to understand? I'm a city boy, okay? So let me ask you this question first, because this has got me more curious than anything. Jack, how would you explain to a city boy what it is like to fight a bull? Give me that.
Total adrenaline.
Yeah.
And you never really thought about it too much, and I got injured in the later part. I got married and we had a new baby, and
doesn't take much to change your mind once you have a kid.
When you can't pick up the baby because of your injury, and you're sitting there.
Yep.
And I come from a farm ranch, and we had a lot of things to take care of at home.
Absolutely.
And that was more important. And so it was time to hang it up.
Yeah.
It was a short career. It was 8 years, and it was great, But it was as far as what's it take. It's you can't explain it.
Yeah.
It's adrenaline. It's not that you're trying to do something. It's your job to protect. And that's what we did.
What kind of young people are you seeing coming out of the rodeos, the young men and women? What are they like as you're talking to them and meeting them and getting to know them?
Oh man, they got their hair's on fire in a way. Some of them are just running, and they get to go down the road and rodeo, and they come on right. The friendships that they build.
Oh yeah.
they're lifelong.
Yeah.
You know, it's just lifelong, and that's the cool part about where I'm at today and seeing these kids, and I get to see their parents, because their parents come now, and you know, it's fun.
Where did you see yourself as you were growing up? I mean, you were growing up on farm ranch still. Is that now? Is that a generational farm that you have?
I
Ranch now.
turned it over to my son. He's the 5th generation on the ranch, and excuse me, fourth
Fourth
generation.
He's dreaming for the 5th.
No, I'm thinking about my grandkids. He's got the 5th ones with him.
The work in progress continues.
Yep.
So how far back do you know? Like a year? Like how far back your ranch has gone?
My grandfather come to Wolf Point in 1914.
Wow.
They got off the boat in New York and moved to Edmore, North Dakota, and then from Edmore they come to Wolf Point when he was 15 and my grandma was 14.
Where'd that boat come from? What's your
Norway.
generation? Norway?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep. It's what it is. Yeah.
It is what it is.
We're good Norwegians.
Yeah, very
Yep.
cool. And Norwegians good at drinking?
No.
No?
No.
I mean, how amazing is it, though? I mean, for you guys, 4 generations later might not be that big a deal. I don't know. You hear a lot about generational farms and ranches.
It's huge, but it's to the point with agriculture today to be able to get big enough to survive because of the cost, the inputs. I don't care if you're farming or ranching. Your inputs, whether it's hay or fertilizer, it's
gone so high.
It's crazy. In the price of machinery, I mean, I mean, the price of a good horse is expensive.
Yeah.
You know, so it's whether you're buying a $750,000 tractor and combine or a $20,000 horse, it's what it is. Everything is there.
So is this time of the year when the MPRC is here in Great Falls, is this your time to put aside the ranch and enjoy yourself, or is this a stressful time for you dealing with everything that comes up with the show?
Oh, it's good. It's stressful, but it's not really stressful. I wouldn't call it that. You know, it's a job that you like to do, you know, and it's and you do it for the kids. You do it for the future of rodeo in Montana.
Yeah.
A lot of these states are having trouble with rodeo. I mean, there's factions in every state that want to get rid of it.
Right, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Montana, one of the select few that isn't, and very thankful for that.
Well, you know, I mean, there's trouble they're having even in Colorado and in California. You know, there's been some good rules that's come with it, like in the tie down rope, and you know, you can't. I mean, in the old days, you roped a calf and you throwed your slack in the air, and the calf would tip over backwards. Well, you can't do that anymore. You got to switch your calf. You got to rope him, flip your slack, so you're switching him because you don't want your calf down.
Right.
And so, I mean, you get flagged out if you tip one over.
Yeah.
And so those things are probably good for the sport, you know. And there's, I mean, the team roping, you'll see a headgear on the steers so you don't burn their horns.
Interesting.
You know, and the tips in the steer wrestling, the horns are tipped a little bit, so they're not. I mean, it's still a hard horn, but it's not going to poke a hole in somebody quite as much, you know. And the bareback riding, the way they have the handle set anymore, it's set so it's not such a deal. And you know, it was kind of funny back 30 some years ago. Dr. Keith Peterson come to the circuit finals. He's the sports medicine trainer, orthopedic surgeon from the Seattle Mariners. And his son is coming. Dr. Peterson has passed on. But his team developed the way the bareback riders tape their arm.
Really?
Now, they were taking x-rays of the bareback riders before the rodeo started, and they were taking x-rays afterwards. And how they taped is the separation of the elbow.
Oh, my land.
And so there's been some great things.
Talk about some science in this.
You know, the sports medicine guys are coming. Dr. Peterson's son, Chris, is coming now. He's an orthopedic surgeon. We've got 2 or 3 guys with that were with the Seattle Mariners. and maybe not now so much, but they still come.
Yeah.
And we get them a room. That's what that's their pay.
Nice.
So
They're just happy to be there.
They just come.
Nice.
Because they enjoy what they're doing.
But I mean, and like you're saying, there are some positive things coming out of this, but my gosh, you guys are dealing with so much too. The generations now today that are so conscious in so many different ways, that does affect you guys.
Well, it's just input costs again. These cowboys are riding. I mean, if you 40% the rodeo, if you win first in all three events, you'll win the go round. Or win the average. And by doing that, you 40% the rodeo, you'll make around $11,000 at this rodeo. Those points count to the national standings. So the guys that the Ty Ericksons, the Haven Midgets, if they do good, it helps through that.
Yeah.
But probably 80% of the contestants that are here, if they didn't have their full-time job, they'd be going down the road rodeo.
Yeah.
And be able to win and be competitive. So there's that too.
Do you think that the contestants see the points as more important to them, or the money? Because they are paying a lot of money to be here.
Money and points are the same.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. They're
money.
On the same. The money is
dollars.
pointed.
Dollars are the points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There was years ago they talked about doing a point system, and then they couldn't figure out how they're going to do that because one rodeo has $1,000 added, and the other one has $10,000 added. Are they going to be the same points? And they could never figure it out. So, the cowboy thing is a little complicated sometimes.
Honestly, it sounded easy to me. Just base it on the money,
just base it on the money.
Very, very.
But there's always somebody trying to work. I don't care what business you're in. There's always somebody going to work an angle.
Yes, always an angle. Always an angle. So first off, thank you for spending some time with me. I love getting to know the inner workings of what you're dealing with. I mean, here's the truth. I'm a city boy from Florida. I lived there for 16 years. I've lived here for 6 years. They put an article about the podcast in the latest magazine, and it says, a podcast for Montanans by Montanans. And I went, I'm finally a Montanan. Yeah. This is awesome. But the truth is...
Let me see your driver's license.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I can actually prove it. Yeah. I'm happy about that. But the real thing that I love about this is I've come here and seen the ag culture and seen 4-H kids, FFA kids, talking to Lori last night, Lori Cox, who... also generational farmer, also doing FFA and 4-H herself, getting her kids involved in that. The kids that I see coming out of this stuff here in Montana will make such a difference in this world in comparison to other kids I've seen. The ag culture is amazing.
The values.
Yes, thank you.
It's the values.
Yes.
It's and I'm not going to run city kids down.
I'm a city kid. I'm not offended.
But most of the farm and ranch kids, they grow up and they got to go. They got to do
the work.
The cows got to be fed.
Yeah.
The crops got to be harvested. Yeah. And everything else comes second.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. There's no discussion.
Right.
It's harvest time. We're not going to the lake. No, we're not. We can't make it to that because we're seeding, and we're not going to make it to the basketball game because heifers are calving.
Yep.
You guys go have fun. Dad is going to stay home.
Yep.
But that's what that is, and so the kids learn values in agriculture, and that's probably the biggest thing.
It's huge. I mean, my first experience in Montana, my father-in-law who lives here in Montana, he's a knife maker here. The man decided I need a Montanan experience, so he took me calving, and we did the whole branding, did the whole taking care of these calves and doing everything. That's the stinkiest, most awesome experience I've had, because the reality of a gentleman about your size was introducing me to what I'm supposed to be doing there. And I look at his arms; he's huge. And he's got all these scrapes up and down his arms, like all over the place. I go, what the heck did you do to yourself? And he goes, I got kicked yesterday. No big deal. Yeah. This is normal farmer punch,
There's nothing better.
Yeah. Okay. No, this is what I like, Phil. This is no. This is
There's nothing better.
They know this is what I like.
There's nothing better than being out at 3:00 in the morning, and you pull a calf, and he lives.
Yeah.
Or you fetch one out of ice that she just slid one out.
Yeah.
And you get him to the barn. You know, we got stuff now that you never had before.
Right.
Warmers.
Right.
I mean, we got a heated room, and I mean, we can put them in there. Our mortality rate is way better than it used to be, you know, but there's nothing better than that. When that happens, and you just feels good.
You created another life. You brought that. I love that affects you that much, though, Jack. That's awesome.
It's just life. It's just life.
But it's life well lived.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
And I'm just so proud that my son and his family are they're doing things that I'd never thought of.
I was talking to Lori last night, and we were talking about legacies. And she goes, how important it is to leave a legacy. Mm-hmm. Sir, you got 4 generations. You got a son that decided to stick it out in ag. You got his kids that are growing up in ag. If that doesn't make you cry or make you excited.
Humble.
What better word?
It's humble.
It's very humbling.
Yep.
And how exciting, you know?
Yeah. As you get older, you don't think about those things, and not that I'm that old, you know, but I used to, you know, 40 years ago when somebody my age now was talking, I was thinking, man, that's an old fart, you know. So it's all good. It's
all great, Jack. It's all great.
So you take the rodeo that's going to go on, and what we're going to do this weekend, and the fans that are going to come.
Yes.
And the sponsors in Great Falls have been outstanding. Good. Outstanding. They're stepping up, and that's how we are the number 1 circuit in the United States. There's 12 circuits in the United States. Some of them got 8 states in them. Texas, California, and us are the only ones that have 1 state. You know, we're the Montana Pro Rodeo circuit, and you know, our webpage is prorodeomontana.com.
Go look it up. I've been in there multiple times.
And you know, and we're PRCA Montana Circuit on Instagram, and you know, and so we got to keep up with all this new stuff.
Yeah.
So we're letting the kids do that.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a wise idea. They seem to have their hand in it.
I can run a phone, kind of.
Yeah.
But I learned something new. I think it was yesterday or the day before. What these stupid phones can do.
I know they're frightening, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And I looked at it, and there's almost 1,100 names in my phone. I'm thinking I don't even know that many people.
Exactly.
You know, but it's, you know, we're gonna have a good time this weekend.
Yeah.
The weather's outstanding.
Yeah.
When I left home Sunday morning, it was 5 above. You know, all the way across the High Line, it was 5, 10, 15. Got to Havre, it was 15. And we started south from Havre, and, you know, there's still a lot of snow on the ground in Big Sandy.
Yep.
And I'm looking at the forecast and looking at the phone, the forecast, and it's 43 degrees in Great Falls. And I'm when's this going to hit? You know, and you get south of Big Sandy, and you drive down the Marias, and it's 35 degrees.
Yep.
Get up on the hill at Fort Benton, it's 40 degrees.
Yeah.
You get to Great Falls, it's 45 degrees. You know, it was pretty amazing.
How did you do with the crazy chill out that we had?
It was cold.
What did you guys see?
We seen 40 mile an hour, 41 mile an hour wind at 32 below. 70, I think the chill factor, somebody said the chill factor was 76 below.
Goodness.
You know, so, you know, getting everything fed first.
Yeah.
You know, and getting all that stuff done. So, you know, and the cows eat a lot of hay.
Oh, yeah.
They got to keep warm.
Especially during that.
You know, and it was kind of funny, really. We got this snow, and we didn't get as much as other places, but it was 20 some below Tuesday before Thanksgiving, And I'm thinking, I got to get the yard cleaned out because we had company coming for Christmas. Well, the wind came up that night and blowed it all away.
Oh boy, there you go. That was easy.
So that took care of that. But
Can I ask you, back on topic of your bullfighting days, what's the worst injury you got during that time?
a few scrapes.
Few scrapes. Yeah, all you cowboys, you blow it off, don't you?
Just a few scrapes. Yeah.
What's your best memory that you remember the most clearly? The one that stuck with you?
When I was rodeoing?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Be able to work my hometown rodeo, Wolf Point.
Yeah.
You know, Wolf Point's going to have their 100th anniversary this year. 100th rodeo this year. 100 years in a row. But it's not years in a row because in the war, 41, 42, and 43, they didn't hold it.
Oh, really?
But so as soon as the war was over, World War II was over, they started back up. So those 3 years didn't count. So
Isn't that something?
So it started in 20, and this is 23. We're going to be 100 years old.
Yeah.
You know, so that and being on that committee also, it's.
There's a sense of pride there, I bet
Yeah,
you.
you know, we're giving away rifles this year, you know, for the winners in each event, and cups and for the winners of each go around, each event of the 8 events we're having. You know, it's just we're doing a lot of good stuff.
Good.
You know, we're gonna have a ranch rodeo on Wednesday night and a dance and whatnot to kick everything off, and then the rodeos Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the 6th, 7th, and 8th of July, and it's going to be fun.
To wrap up, the thing I've noticed most about agriculture, rodeos, and things like that is community still remains a key part. I had a conversation today with people who are having a hard time finding kids to come and work for them because these kids haven't experienced community anymore.
The younger generation hasn't experienced volunteerism.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
my folks, my grandma and grandpa, on my mom's side, they were part of this stampede at Wolf Point.
Yeah.
And it's just been a generational deal.
Right.
And we're back involved with it. But it's really tough to talk somebody into volunteer because it seems like everybody wants to get paid for what they're doing anymore.
Right.
You know, and there's places to be paid, and there's things that you know, being a volunteer shouldn't cost you too much, you know, and so it's what it is. But getting people to volunteer is a tough job anymore.
Yeah.
For any community.
Yeah.
You know, and the 35, 40 rodeos that we have in Montana, it's all volunteers. You know, and most of them are coming from families that's been in that rodeo forever.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they might have competed there, they might have done whatever, you know.
So the questions that I usually ask are the same questions I try to ask everyone every single time. Some are stupid, some are meaningful, some are deeply heartfelt. So let's see how you do. First, answer these first ones rather quickly, okay? Pencil or pen?
Pen.
Pen. Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream.
Yeah? Let me think. Left or right? Lefty or righty?
Right.
Are you, let me think of the other one here. Yeah, I don't have my notes. I lost my notes. Are you straightforward or are you, what's the word I'm looking for?
Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Yeah, well, and maybe that's it. You're direct. I was going to say direct or passive aggressive.
You know, I'm not a confrontationist.
Sure. You'd rather skirt.
I'd rather work things out.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So here's another more serious one. What is the thing that you notice in someone when you think that they're not being as honest with you as they say they are?
You know, my grandpa told me a long time ago, and he said, you trust everybody until they flat out lie to you, and then you decide if they're your friend.
Yeah. Forgive or not.
It's out there.
Yeah. What's your favorite word?
Seriously?
What's your least favorite word?
No.
What's your favorite sound?
Favorite sound?
Yeah.
Good violin.
All right. Least favorite sound?
Train.
If there's any profession other than yours that you would like to do, what would it be?
You know, my grandpa told me years and years ago, he said, whatever you're going to do, be happy with it. And he said, and don't be like a lot of the kids your age, where you think you have to make a living off from somebody else's misery. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, lawyers, insurance. It's just
all that gang.
So, what would I rather been doing? Nothing.
What would you least do if there was a profession out there that you just would not want to do? What would it be?
I don't know.
That's a perfectly fine answer.
At least, no. I haven't worked a whole lot of days in my life.
What's your personal motto?
Because I like what I've done.
Yeah. If you like what you're doing, you're good.
You know, worst favorite motto?
No, what is your personal motto?
Oh. Make sure the house is in order. Mm-hmm. My dad always told me that when I was getting ready to go to a rodeo or whatever. He says, you got your house in order? Mm-hmm. And I'd look at him and he'd say that. And he always said, you got your house in order? If you got your house in order, we'll see you. You know, is everything taken care of around the place before you take off?
Oh, that's cool. That's a good one. That's a very good one.
Keep your house in order.
Yeah, that's a biblical thing, too. All right, my favorite one, and in my opinion, the best one. If heaven is real, what would you want God to tell you at the pearly gates?
Can't do that. Well done.
Another good answer.
Yeah. Sorry.
Do not be sorry for showing your heart. Do not be sorry for showing your heart. You know what shows me an honest person? A man who's willing to cry. And a man who takes joy in life.
Yeah.
That,
here we are.
That is it.
Yep.
That is it.
Yep.
And, okay, if I'm going to have any man be president of the MPRC, it needs to be someone with heart. I think you've been doing pretty fine, in my opinion. I just met you today.
It's just a couple, you know, I don't know how long this job's going to be with me. I don't, you know, I'm 69 years old. And
a young 69,
you
sir.
know, and, you know, I had a friend of mine that went to high school with me. He asked me here a couple of years ago, he says, you ever feel like you're missing a step? And I said, not too many.
Good.
You know, you take care of yourself. You know, you marry well, and it works out.
Yeah.
Life's good.
Yeah. So we're mentioning legacies and how important they are. If someone who was watching this or listening to the audio of it decided, okay, I'm going to turn this off right now, what is the one thing you want them to remember?
Enjoy life. There's a lot of good things going on out there if you pay attention to them and don't dig yourself a hole.
It's pretty easy to do that these days, isn't it?
Put the shovel down when you find yourself in a hole, you know, and get out there and meet new friends. You don't have to like them. Just meet new people.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing says you have to like everybody. You know, just... You know, you're still up for question.
So I'll tell you this, Jack. My wife, when I first met my wife, I met her online, believe it or not. You know, it's this young generation. And our first conversation online, she didn't like it. She thought it was stupid. You know, I was saying things. I was very, very, you know, uptight. And she's going, I'm never going to marry this guy. But I can be his friend.
Yep.
Well, okay, you don't have to like him. Watch out.
Yeah.
I took her anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
well, Jack, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Truly, let's get everyone to come to this rodeo. January 12th through the 14th,
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. And it's going to be a hoot.
Each night. There's all the events are each night. Last year we had a little deal with the breakaway roping. We had trouble making everything fit into the arena, into the building. We got that all taken care of. So there's going to be 12 of everybody each night. Well, it's good. There's going to be 11 bareback riders. We had a couple of injuries that had to draw out, but we got 11 bareback riders, 12 and everything else. You're gonna miss something if you don't go.
Yeah.
You know, and you can talk about it, and it's gonna be a good time. It's always a party.
Yeah.
And there's lots of fun to be had.
It's a Montana family reunion. That's the way I call
You
it.
know, there's a story about that.
Really?
You know, it was the MPRF,
All right.
and Butch Lemcooler was their barrel man. And we used to have an awards banquet on Sunday night after the rodeo. And he'd come up and got his buckle, and he was a chatter on the microphone when he got it, you know. And he says, "Well, it's not." He said, "You guys think the Montana Pro Rodeo Finals is MPRF?" He said, "It's the Montana Pro Rodeo family." Let's end on that.
Let's end on that.
Yep.
That's the right answer. That's the right answer. Folks, thank you so much for watching. Jack, thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's end on that.